I mean, you talk about more controversial things than I talk about, but what would make a audience get hostile, in your opinion, if
Well,
you're having just a traditional kind of lecture or a presentation or that type of thing?
I remember when I was training New York Power Authority people, and then they elevated me to train their speakers bureau. And they sent me upstate New York where they were saying to farmers, now we're going to eat, we want easements on your land.
Mm.
And they said, there's no way you're getting my land.
Right,
And
right.
they took out shotguns and started to shoot
Oh my
at
God.
my speakers bureau people. In all my life, I
Wow.
never trained anybody who was met face to face with a shotgun. So what I had to do was train them to defuse the hostility as much as they possibly could so that they were sent on a mission. They were the speakers bureau representing New York Power Authority to create lines going through these farmers properties, and this was their land and they were not having any of this.
Wow. I mean, I'm trying to think of the most hostile thing. When I was first speaking, I mentioned news agencies and I listed, if you get your news from, and I said like ABC, NBC, CNN, Fox, I listed like four, and I don't know which one I said that obsessive, one of probably two of those. I got a boo, for that. And
Oh, that's nothing.
yeah, that's the most
That's so
hostile thing I think I've ever had anybody do in an audience. And obviously they were either booing CNN or Fox. I don't know which one, but I imagine, or maybe news in general. I don't know, but it was, for a second, I wasn't expecting somebody to do that in an audience, and I remember looking over going, what'd I say? What'd I say? Because you kind of get that sense. And I, of course, never did that again. But I think, just if it's something light like that, you can smile and kind of laugh with them. You know what I mean? It depends the level.
But,
But
but but what you're saying is that you cannot take it to heart, and
no,
that's the
oh
first
no,
point exactly.
no,
You
no.
cannot take this to heart. I was called in to do a presentation at a think tank, very very well known company, uh, and I was talking about body language, and this was a lunch and learn. So they
Mhm.
called me in while they were having lunches, and we were sitting around a conference table, and they were these techie geniuses. I mean, truly the geniuses of the geniuses. And so I'm talking about body language, which these people could never care less about because
Mhm.
because that wasn't their realm of understanding or caring. Well,
Mhm.
anyway, so there's this guy sitting there, and he's like this on a seat that goes back with his legs up almost on the table, but not quite, because that
Mhm.
would have been terrible,
Yeah.
terrible. And
Uh-huh.
his hands are like this,
Uh-huh.
over his chest, and he's like the closed posture that I always tell my clients, no, you don't want to show.
Mhm.
So as I always do, it was very interactive and and casual, and they're eating their lunches and blah blah. And I said to everybody, now, when you look at people's body language sitting at a conference table, for example, this guy, I didn't know these people.
Yeah.
For example, this guy sitting there all as though he has this superior look about him, and everybody started to laugh. And I said, what am I missing? There had to be not more than 12 or 15 in this conference at this conference table.
Right.
And I said, what did I miss? Well, he just happened to be the CEO of the company who wanted to come in because he was interested in the topic.
Mhm.
And he came in and watched all this. And I was so embarrassed. I
Why?
mean, well, because I'm criticizing his body language,
Oh,
and
yeah.
everybody was sitting there and saying,
Oh, you did it in front of the crowd too?
yes.
Oh.
Well, you know how I talk, and I go, and this and this and this and this. Now, for example, this guy sitting here,
Ah,
that's a closed posture, and
that's
he has this
funny.
holier than thou attitude, blah 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 blah. And
That's
I was just saying,
great.
well, anyway,
Yeah.
I finished the talk, and they all started leaving the room little by little. Some of them stopped me and said, "Hey, thanks a lot. This was great. I so enjoyed it. I learned so much, blah, blah, blah." So I never got to the CEO until the very, very last part, when I was about to leave the
Did
building.
anybody laugh when you were doing it, thinking you're doing it as a
They
joke?
were all laughing.
Oh, okay. So they probably thought you were doing it as a joke, like he was in on it.
Well, they must.
Maybe. That's what I would have hoped for.
No, no, they obviously knew
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was talking about with him. So so my hair red and my face red.
Yeah.
I,
That's
I
embarrassing.
said, "Ooh!" Finally, I, as everybody else was leaving the room, I said, "Well, how do you do? It's so nice to meet you. Sorry about that. I'm sorry I didn't get to speak to you earlier, but here we are. So I'm sorry I used you as the example." He said, "No problem." At least he went with it.
Yeah. You
That
could have gotten
was
anything out of that though.
oh yeah, I got a lot.
No, but I mean, you could have had a guy who didn't take it that well. You got lucky.
Well, maybe I did. He called me and asked me out afterwards.
Well, see, there you go. Maybe that's a tactic.
That's no, no.
And you're only married for how long after that to him?
I didn't marry him. No, I don't like to mix the
Yeah.
business part
No.
with the personal part. I mean, I think that gets too messy, and life is messy as it is. I don't like to do all of that stuff. But it was, I mean, things will come up because everybody, we are not scripted. And everybody, we don't want to be scripted, because if we were, we would be called actors. And the beauty of what we do is that we do see something and we go for it then and there. And sometimes it becomes controversial. And to me, that's wonderful, because then people are attending to this more than ever.